It's fine to just be sleeping, but sleep is a special condition, so waking him up is bullshit. Kids watch this. Is this way of winning seriously okay? I want whoever wrote the script for this one to never come into contact with Pokemon ever again. Go write for Kimono Friends 3, you scum. Ash Ketchum, a perpetual league loser. Is Ash finally on the road to winning something big in the Alola League, or is he face down in the mud as usual? What exactly happened in his battle with Hau that has triggered the Japanese Pokemon fandom? Let's jump in. So just to set this up, the episode of the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime that's got a few people going a little bit bonkers is episode 133, Bird Battle, Brave Bird versus God Bird. And of course there will be spoilers related to this episode, so there's your spoiler warning. So anyways, I think that the Sun and Moon anime has actually been quite good. I love the animation style, I love the pacing of going from island to island. Kind of brings me back to the Orange Islands era of the anime, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And currently in the Sun and Moon anime, we are finally in the Alola League Championships, and the episode in particular, which has created a bit of a stir in Japan, is episode 133, which continues the previous episode's battle between Hau's Decidueye and Ash's Rowlett. And I've got to say that the battle itself was really quite good until a particular act of goofiness transpired. In short, after a big head-on collision between Decidueye's Sky Attack and Rowlett's Brave Bird attack, Rowlett is left on the ground, unable to get up. However, Decidueye, with great effort, is able to get back to its feet. Time passes, tension builds, and the judge finally makes a call. Rowlett is unable to continue the battle, and so Hau is awarded the victory. Of course, Hau is overjoyed, and in the arena, the hype starts to build. But then, Hala suddenly bursts in with an objection and basically says that it was ruled that both Pokemon moves hit, but Decidueye was able to get back up and therefore the winner. However, Rowlett is not actually yet incapacitated. Take a closer look. It's merely fallen asleep. Yup, Ash's Rowlett apparently just falls asleep after getting rocked by Sky Attack. Just look at this picture of Rowlett and let me know how you think Hal was able to distinguish that it's merely asleep. Pretty fishy. Ash then goes out onto the pitch and wakes up his Rowlett, which kind of seems like an infringement in itself. Hau's win is rolled back and the battle is restarted. It's almost like Ash is for once a little bit self-aware of what's going on and how cheesy this Mickey Mouse operation is, because he actually apologizes to Hau, and Hau says, "Don't worry about it. After all, me and Decidueye came here to beat Rowlett." So after some more back and forth between the two Pokemon, finally, Rowlett is able to dodge a crushing blow by using Feather Dance and retaliates with Brave Bird to slam Decidueye into the dirt. Decidueye is out cold, and that is the end of the match. Everyone is stunned, as they should be, after this crazy comeback following a fairly ludicrous ruling, and that's that. Being the good sport that he is, Hau holds it together, extends his handshake, congratulates Ash, and leaves the pitch without a complaint, without crying, and then later can be seen in the background tearing up and crying in the arms of Hala. There was something about it that just felt a little bit off, and I think that after what was really a pretty great match for the most part, most people probably didn't want to see Ash win in this particular way. Just giving Hau the well-earned win and then pulling the rug out from underneath of him has not sat well with a lot of fans who watched the episode when it just aired here in Japan. So let's take a look at what people are saying on Twitter about it. And before we jump into that, here's the answer to the last trivia question. The question was, what character in what game lives in a toilet and gives the player a power-up in exchange for a piece of paper? The answer is question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. After completing a short side quest, this nice man or disembodied hand or whatever that comes out of the toilet gives Link a heart piece. Link might want to rinse that heart piece off before using it or ingesting it or doing whatever he does to absorb the power of heart pieces. Stay tuned for another trivia question at the end of this video, this time about the Pokemon anime. And now let's jump into the Japanese Twitter universe and see what they are saying about this questionable victory. The Sun and Moon anime is interesting, and I always say I love it, but Hau's Decidueye versus Ash's Rowlett was really shit. The whole hood thing and going to sleep stuff was garbage. And for Hau, who put in such great effort to beat Rowlett, losing in such a rotten, half-assed way was just too cruel. I admire Hau for holding back his tears in front of Decidueye. It's good that Hau is quite tolerant, but he couldn't complain even though he lost to foul play of the worst kind, eh? Rowlett sleeping and Hau crying as a result of the bad judgment. I feel so sorry for him. Hau versus Ash was a terrible battle. If it was another league, that would have been a loss for foul play. When the judgment came out, I was honestly shocked, and although it's okay he won in the end, I don't think framing it like Ash lost was necessary. I felt so sorry for Hau. I wanted Rowlett to fight harder, and generally the pacing was bad. If they could have at least resumed the battle before the referee announced a verdict, I would have been able to enjoy it. I thought that perhaps this would continue the series' established practice of Ash getting eliminated from the league, but on the contrary, Ash's chances of winning suddenly increased, which I'm happy about. But I had mixed feelings when Hau quietly accepted the resumption of the battle. Was it necessary to do it like that? Personally, I think that if Ash doesn't win the championship after this, Hau will really be down in the dumps, so I'm hoping he pulls it off. By the way, I think that apart from the withdrawal of the referee's decision to our victory to Hau, it was a great battle. The aerial battle in the first half and the shift from Feather Dance into Brave Bird in the second half were hot. We could also see how the Z move from the last episode was evaded. Wasn't there a Charizard who was disqualified for sleeping and being unable to fight? A Charizard disqualified for sleeping. That seems to ring a bell. I'm gonna say this because I love Pokemon. If Rowlett napping this time was okay, then what about Charizard's napping in the match against Richie? And why did Hala barge in even though the referee said nothing? As one would expect, people feel sorry for Hau. For those who may not remember that distant reference, the commenter here is referring to way back in the Indigo League, I believe in the quarterfinals where Ash was facing off against his rival Richie, and naturally, during the battle, Charizard refused to listen to Ash, and then kind of dozed off, and soon he was disqualified for not actively participating in the battle. In stark contrast to Rowlett, who got off scot-free. I guess there are different standards from league to league. You lost in the Indigo League because your Charizard slept, right, Ash? Why was Rowlett let off? Poor Hau. Suffering a come-from-behind loss like that was tough. You worked hard. Come on, it's not sleeping. I mean, this guy has a point. Look at this Rowlett. How do you know that thing is sleeping? It looks to me like it got knocked the f*** out. The Pokemon anime did something too awful yesterday, and I've been anguishing over it ever since. The worst thing about this is the person who wrote the script. You wrote this kind of development into Ash's battle? Quit f***ing around. As a Hau fan, I'm so pissed off about this. Never, ever write this kind of scenario again. I want whoever wrote the script for this one to never come into contact with Pokemon ever again. Go write for Kimono Friends 3, you scum. Wow, that's a pretty vicious reaction. And also a bit of a diss on Kimono Friends. I get Ash winning due to a protagonist correction, plot armor, but all the same, that was a terrible development. I understand why they wanted to have a Rowlett-like moment in there, but wouldn't it have been better to just have him swiftly fall asleep after winning normally? Why did they have to have it fall asleep in the middle of the battle, and then show Hau delighted, and then crushed? I thought that Ash would lose to Hau, and I didn't particularly want him to win this league, so I find myself unable to find the right words, but vexed that he won with that plot armor. Ash Ketchum and ridiculous plot armor to make up for his incompetence. Sounds familiar. Even though it's an anime for kids, they've exposed them to the injustices of society. Very true, very true. As you can see, quite a few fans are pretty miffed about this. Personally, I don't care too much. I just thought, wow, that's kind of stupid, but I guess at least we finally have a shot of seeing Ash go in deep and maybe even coming back with a championship, so it should make for a few good episodes to round off the Sun and Moon anime before Sword and Shield come out. However, I do realize it was a very cheesy, kind of dirty win, and there are a lot of people who really love Hau, and I can understand why they are pissed off about this. But what do you think? Do you think it was cheesy bullshit, or do you think that it was a good call by Hala? And are there other moments from the Pokemon anime where you're just like, what the hell is happening? This is ridiculous. This is not fair. Ash, just quit Pokemon, please. Let's talk about it, and before I forget, here is another trivia question for you, this one about the Pokemon anime. Which gym badges in the Indigo League did Ash earn without actually defeating that gym's leader. He has a history of pretty dodgy victories. Include the correct answer in your comment, and I will give you a festive emoji and a big thank you and congratulations. Don't forget to subscribe, please share this video with your friends, give this video a thumbs up if you want more Rowlett related content, and be sure to check out some of my other videos. Let's chat.